Dozens of stone circles tower above the land. The gods of this forgotten age are ever watchful, still casting their gaze across the horizon. Göbekli Tepe is a massive ruin hidden underneath an artificial mound, which is located at the highest point of a mountain plateau. Our ancestors began erecting the great T-shaped pillars 1,000 years before the human era. This is humanity's first megastructure, our first temple, and the first time our fragmented ancestors came together on such a grand scale since we departed from Africa. This is Ancestoria, the spirit of humankind. Dozens of individual communities came together from across the region to construct the massive features of Göbekli Tepe. Most of these groups may have only stayed a few months at best, but year after year they returned to engage with each other. For 3,000 years, Göbekli Tepe was the center of culture. But how did they first converge to create something so monumental in a cooperative fashion unknown to the human world? This is a mystery lost to time, but perhaps it began by one group allowing another to sit by their fire and tell the story of the gods who ruled the world. Mighty and powerful, they perhaps stoked the imaginations of the tribes they came into contact with, who in turn recanted these stories to more tribes rippling throughout the region. They then came together in a central location, high above the land, to conduct important ceremonies and raise monuments to the gods. Göbekli Tepe would then be elaborated upon over many years to follow. They would initially gather during the summer and early autumn, coinciding with the migrations of many animals including oryx and gazelles. They conducted communal hunts in which they collaborated to slaughter as many animals as they could. This was an important social activity that strengthened the ties between tribes. These animals would be supplemented by the many fruits, nuts, and seeds that others gathered. The meat and fruit would be dried to last for the duration of their stay, while the seeds were ground up and made into porridges and bread. In the beginning, these would have supplied the workers with the necessary nutrients to mine, sculpt, and erect the massive stone pillars. As time went on, they would fuel the untold number of feasts here in Göbekli Tepe. Additionally, our ancestors carried out rituals and told stories of the gods, allowing for the cementation of new ideas, traditions, and social expectations. The storytellers also connected themselves to the gods, eventually creating a priestly class who became the leaders of this new society, further facilitating large-scale cooperation. The architecture itself is decorated in ways that reinforce the notion of gods all around them. The very shape of the stone pillars appear to represent giant humanoids. Perhaps this denoted mythical ancestors or the gods themselves. This type of architecture and artwork can be seen in numerous sites across the region for the next few thousands of years. This suggests a united culture, built with loyalty and cooperation in a society led by the messengers of the gods. The Great Temple of Göbekli Tepe lost its significance at around 2000 HE. It was intentionally buried and lost to time for nearly 10,000 years. The development of agriculture and animal husbandry rendered the old gods obsolete in a new age. However, Göbekli Tepe represents the confluence of humankind, a shift to a shared culture and a rise of spirituality. It interconnected communities in ways that had never been before. A project of unprecedented scale cemented the power of human collaboration by affording many groups to live in relative affluence, laying the foundations for the first agricultural societies. This is Ancestoria, the history of our ancestors.